Well, Caroline, thank you for joining us today. And it's very, very special actually, because you've got this gigantic gable end. But let's cast our minds back to when you were living in London and then decided to buy this property. Can you tell us about your story?
Hi, Steve. Yes, of course, it would be my pleasure. So yes, we are typically based in London for most of the week, but my husband took on a new job up in Leicester, which meant that we had to pretty quickly find a new property closer to where he works, so that the commute wasn't quite so long. And we were very lucky in that we stumbled across a new development of four properties, of which we managed to secure one of them, which is a standalone building. And the way that the builders were able to get planning permission for this development was to build in the style of black barns, because actually what was here before were cattle sheds and other farming barns. So it's quite a standout property. The architects did a phenomenal job, and as you can see behind me, the gable end is really quite stunning. It's in our master bedroom, and it was one of the reasons why we fell in love with this property. We actually have a gable end at the other end as well. However, there's a fireplace in the middle of that, so we didn't need to cover that one out. So yeah, so we had this huge window, which is beautiful, but after you get over the beauty of it, you then realize that, especially for our master bedroom, that we need to create pretty much an area that is has the ability to reduce down light entirely. Um, and also as well, I have to say, because we are close to a small road, is also to help with the sound as well coming from that road. So honestly, it was a bit of a scratching head moment, because I spoke to a number of different companies, and when I told everybody the size of this window, they were all a little bit shocked, and told me that it was going to be a challenge. And so it was one of those projects which I think you start, and as you gain the information and speak to a number of different suppliers with a number of different solutions. I have to say there was, everything from a sort of a traditional blind, which you actually like hand pull, to obviously what you guys have supplied to us, which really and truly was by far and away the best solution that we came across. And I have to add as well, Steve, what was really interesting was that some of the solutions that some other companies were coming up with weren't anywhere near as good, and actually of a very similar price, in some circumstances even more expensive. So we found that we absolutely sort of struck gold with you guys. And quite honestly, we couldn't be happier. We obviously, you can see a huge amount of light in this room at the moment, and there's also some other windows in here as well. But I can honestly say that at night time there is absolutely zero light ingress with this blind, and also the pelmet that you guys supplied. So not only is it great for making sure that there's absolutely no light coming through whatsoever, but aesthetically, for me, it just really finishes the window off. So thank you.
No, thank you. That's wonderful to hear. And so for the so what you've got here is a cassette box at the bottom with a blind that goes upwards into the gable, which we'll take a look at later if it's all right, Caroline. So you found us and you spoke with Chris. And what was that process like?
So again, it was very interesting for me. I had no experience of this before, and Chris was brilliant in as far as he could really talk me through the options, and gave me the real sort of comfort that I needed, that you guys were not only professional but had a huge amount of experience. I had a nice presentation sent to me which had all the relevant information supplied in it, so I could really go through it actually in detail with my husband as well. He is a detailed man and wanted to know a huge amount about the mechanics and how it works. And obviously to make sure that it doesn't go wrong. So that presentation was super helpful that Chris provided. And then really and truly, once we'd decided that this solution was going to be the right one for us, Martin came round to survey, and straight away he gave us a huge amount of confidence as well. Again, he was so into the detail, and his mathematical brain was very much appreciated when he was doing all the measurements. So really from the start of the process through to the survey, and at that point we still, didn't have to commit to you. That was the other thing. I think, there was absolutely sort of no pressure whatsoever. It was very much factual based communication that we had, so that we could come to our own conclusions. And as I said, after we met Martin and he talked to us a little bit more about the blind, we were extremely satisfied and decided to make the order.
Well, thank you. And yes, it's there's a lot of information that we share to customers, so it's really important that we provide that presentation pack, the information pack, as I like to call it, to our customers, because it's too much to remember. There's a lot of, I mean, it's a big project, it's a complicated project, and we enjoy these challenges. So thank you for the feedback, and especially about the sort of factual approach to the project. So at that point, you had the survey done, and then there's the installation. How did you find the installation process?
So it was fascinating because obviously it's a huge piece of kit. You can't see in this video the entire length of the window and of the cassette. But the only way that could get into the building was through the window. And actually we do have a very big front door here, and the stairs, there was a lot of space in those stairs, but Martin was very clear from the outset. He was like, no, it's not coming through the door, it's not going up the stairs, so it's coming through the window. So the installation process went incredibly smoothly. So everything from the cherry picker arriving to ensure that blind could get up through the first floor window, to the guys being incredibly organized. They really knew exactly what they were here to do, talked me through the process. They were incredibly neat and tidy as well, which is always appreciated. And they were scrupulous with the detail of the installation. They really did make sure that it was absolutely how it should be, and in kind of perfect working order before they left. And they were lovely guys. It was nice to have a chat to them, and they really actually gave me some a lot of confidence that this solution was by far and away the right one for us.
Yeah, and did they pass on the instructions on how to use the blind, or is it so intuitive you don't really need instructions?
Honestly, it's very straightforward. I literally have one remote control, and there's an up button, a stop button, and a down button. So I think anybody could use this, even a small child. So it was very straightforward in order to use. But also, I think what I appreciated was that Martin really spoke about the go forward. So the fact that he was going to come back in a month, just to check that the tensions were all correct, and that the blind was sitting as it should have done, and ongoing as well. I think I have a huge amount of comfort to know that we have some servicing done if that needs to be done, or anything, God forbid, goes wrong with it. I doubt it will, because I think it seems so solid. But should it anything happen, I know that you guys will be able to support us.
Absolutely. It's not. It doesn't stop at the install. And yeah, we're lucky to have Martin and Martin Bryans, this team. And I think if they could catch dust out the air, well, in fact, I think they do. I think Henry the Hoover makes an appearance, and whenever there's drilling, the Hoover's out, ready to catch the dust as it falls. So, which is excellent. And we're lucky that we can do these very complicated projects. So, has the blind delivered what you needed? Because this is a bedroom. You need to, whilst the view is wonderful, when the sun's rising at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, you might not want that brightness.
Yes, absolutely, Steve. I'm a pretty good sleeper, to be honest, and so things like that don't bother me. My husband is the opposite. He is an incredibly light sleeper. Literally any light whatsoever. His I think he sleeps with one eye open, to be honest. No, I'm super happy to say that it's absolutely doing the job. As far as light is concerned, aesthetically, I'm so happy with it as well. You'll see when it goes up, we chose a light grey, and it's absolutely sort of blackout, but it still has a lightness to it. So that the when you do have the blind entirely up, it doesn't overwhelm the space with a dark color. Um, and then, as I mentioned earlier, it absolutely has also helped with sound. Obviously we have triple glazing in these windows, but just having that extra layer has also helped reduce the amount of noise coming from the outside in.
Wonderful. And well, I think hopefully I know the answer to this question, but would you recommend Window Treat to friends and family?
I certainly would, Steve, from start to finish. It really has been a pleasure to work with you, and we're incredibly happy with the final solution. And honestly, it was a journey which I wasn't sure I would ever see to the end, because it is a very tricky window to cover. But no, you exceeded our expectations. So thank you very much. And I will certainly be recommending you.
That's music to my ears, Caroline. Thank you. And this is so exciting. This is the moment, I think, where our customers and I get to see your blind go up and then back down again.
Right, so I shall press the magic button. Okay.
Wow, that's a lovely choice of color, by the way, Caroline. It goes with your
Oh,
furnishings.
thank you. So yeah, it is quite incredible. It is a a huge blind, but it is sort of a work of art. So that's all the way up, and now I shall make it come down again.
That's lovely. And what a view you have. That's a gable end worthy of that view.
Oh, thank you.